What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Jump. A lot of sports going on right now. College basketball and college football is in full effect. A lot of playoff implications going on in football, and then, we're kind of getting to see who the real ones are in basketball right now. And got an early National Player of the Year conversation that needs to be had about a certain someone in the Big East. So, with all that being said, let's get straight into it. So, a lot to get to, both sports, college football and college basketball, but I'm going to start out college football, some of like the Week 12 cleanup, like a recap type thing. LSU officially out of the playoff. They go down to Florida. They lose in Gainesville 27-16. DJ Lagway, what he has done for the Florida fan base is incredible. If you look at Twitter, that you would think this guy is like Jesus. It's incredible. This guy almost, they're not going to say it, but this guy nearly saved Billy Napier's job. The fact that he will be back is a big part of why Billy Napier has not been fired from Florida, and for good reason. DJ Lagway is spectacular. He's been a blast to watch. They knock out LSU out of the college football playoff. They were still in contention because they could have made the SEC championship if they just won out, but they go down, and LSU, sad ending, at best they're going 9-3 now. 9-3. Ohio State rolls at Northwestern, Wrigley Field game. Worst camera angle of all time. The Carnell Tate touchdown. I think it was Carnell Tate. The first one in like the front corner. You could see the fans on the opposite side go crazy, but you had no idea what the catch looked like until there was later on in the night other angles were released and stuff. But 31-7 victory over Northwestern for Ohio State. They continue to roll, but the big one is this week, and we will talk about that one. Kansas beats BYU, gives them the first loss, 17-13. BYU had to do a whole lot to lose this game. I thought it being a night game in Provo, they wouldn't really have a problem, but Kansas is out here wrecking stuff for all of college football, really. Colorado rolls 49 points. They're making history offensively right now, and 49 on a Utah team that I know is not good, but the defense is still there. It's still Whittingham. 49 points is super impressive from the Buffaloes. They've got a sneaky one against Kansas this week as well. Stanford upsets Louisville 38-35. This was a historic collapse. If you did not watch this game, I recommend going to watch like the highlights of this game, because Louisville was up. They had to do everything wrong to lose this game. Up like 14 or something. Stanford ended this game on a 17-0 run, and it was mind-blowing the decision-making that Brom did. The fourth down late, the offsides, it was incredible. Big win for Stanford, though. Third win of the year. Oregon survives in Madison. This is a little sneaky game. This may, if you want to argue it, this may make Penn State's win at Madison, or at Wisconsin, in Madison, night game, may make it look a little bit more impressive. But Oregon gets out 16-13, and I don't think their vibes were ever shot. I didn't really think there was ever a point where they were going to lose it. I got nervous at the end when Dan Lanning went for that, and they should have kicked the field goal. He goes for it on 4th and 3, 4th and 4, whatever it was, just try to get the first down, ice the game out. They don't get it, and I was like, this is going to come back to bite them. I thought Wisconsin was going to go down the field. They were going to go kick a field goal and then win an OT or something. But Dan Lanning gambled, but it didn't end up mattering. So Oregon gets out of there with a big win. Georgia, second half dominance. Tennessee fans are, not all of them, but the Twitter Tennessee fans were ridiculous this weekend. This second half was literal pure dominance, most dominant thing I've seen in a long time, the most dominant half of football I've seen in all season probably. And they tried to complain that the refs lost them a game and all this different stuff. 31-17 victory. Georgia just rolled. And this was the best Carson Beck had looked all year. 100%. So, if this is the Georgia we're about to start getting, this is my national champs still. New Mexico upsets Washington State. I don't think Washington State was going to sneak into the playoff, but any hopes of it gone. 38-35 victory. And that was an awesome, exciting late-night game. So we now have the Week 13 12-team college football playoff bracket projection. So the news on this one is obviously with BYU losing. The only Big 12 team in, as of right now, is a 12 seed in BYU, with Boise State getting a bye. Now, obviously, this is super interesting because G5 team getting a bye. But this also makes it super interesting because BYU being at the 12, if they lose one more, Colorado loses one more, and Arizona State loses one more, like, BYU's got a tough one with Arizona State this week. If they drop that game, they're moving back. If Arizona State loses like Arizona, I think there could be 2 G5 teams get in here. Tulane or Army, the winner of the AAC, I think has an argument to get in there. And, I mean, Tulane might be the best G5 team, without a doubt. I mean, it could get super interesting, and we could have a playoff without a single Big 12 team, which would be wild. Nothing much else has changed. Oregon 1 seed, Texas 2 seed, Miami 3 seed, Boise 4 seed, but Miami is 8 overall now, which they're kind of sneaking by. I mean, I think they're the best team in the ACC, but I don't know. So it's Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana is the top 5. Obviously, 2 of those face off this week in Columbus, but yeah, it was definitely a super interesting playoff bracket, because as of right now, you would have BYU traveling to Ohio State. That would get ugly. Alabama going to South Bend, playing Notre Dame. Georgia going to Penn State, which would be absolutely electric. And then Ole Miss at Indiana, which would be a blast as well. So, obviously, a lot of these are going to end up working themselves out anyways. I mean, A&M is currently ranked 15, and they'll be having that big Texas matchup at the end of the year. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, a lot of these will end up getting worked out. Obviously, Indiana or Ohio State, something's going to change there. But, yeah, super big one in Columbus this weekend. That's kind of the story of the week. Notre Dame's got the Army game that people have had circled on their calendar since like week 3. So, yeah, a lot of big games this week. We'll get to those in a little bit. First, I want to talk about the Week 13 Heisman rankings, in my personal opinion. My judgment, so this is not based off like betting odds or anything like that. It's got to be Travis Hunter right now. I don't see a world where it's not Travis Hunter. I know that if you go in your stat sheet junkie or you go based off stats and stuff, he's not going to have it. But he plays both ways. That's incredible. People don't do that. Like, that's just like, it's incredible he's able to sustain that, and he's still available nearly every game. He got hurt and missed, a game and a half maybe. But he's like a top 3 to 5 receiver and a top like 2 DB in the country. He's got to be number 1. Absolutely phenomenal season out of him so far. And he did strike the Heisman pose this week against Utah for the 2nd time now, I believe. But he did say in an interview, or maybe it was on like a live stream of his, that like he's not focused on winning the Heisman. He's focused on winning games and trying to get Colorado to the playoff and stuff. I highly doubt that. I'm just going to be honest, because Travis Hunter numerous times has like tried to make his case for why he should win Heisman. And if you're going that far out of your way to try to make the case for why you should win Heisman, I don't think you like can play the character role of like not caring. But besides that, Ashton Genty still number 2. It's incredible. I mean, he put up 159 and 3 touchdowns. They got a couple easy ones. So in these games, I think he's still alive. He's gonna have one of these 2. He's got to have 300. It's insane to like demand that, but he has got to get 300 in one of these games, and probably combine for like 5 touchdowns between these 2 games, if not more, if he wants to even have a chance to win it. I think as long as he stays healthy, he's going to go to New York. But yeah, and I mean the Mountain West championship game is going to have a lot on the line too, which could be Colorado State, which would be super interesting as well. At 3 on my list, I have Cam Ward. I think it's crazy that some people have kind of taken him out of the race off of 1 loss. His numbers are still absolutely incredible and the best among quarterbacks in the country. I think he's still got to be in the top 3 or 4. It's just been incredible what he's been able to do. And it's 1 loss, and I think he's going to be able to put up numbers in these next couple of games as well. Dylan Gabriel 4, so it's the same top 4 as it's been for a while now. Obviously, team success, Dylan Gabriel is the quarterback leading the number 1 team in the country, and I feel like they're always going to be in the race. I think people have kind of moved him down a little bit and moved Curtis Rourke up, but I have Curtis Rourke at 5, still right behind him. I just think the 1 game of injury, and I think I still need to see him. It's the same argument for Indiana. Overall, he's still got to play somebody that's actually good. Dylan Sampson at 6. He continues to just be inevitable and score a touchdown. Like, he wakes up, brushes his teeth, eats breakfast, scores 2 touchdowns. That's basically his day in the life. I think he only had 1 in the Georgia game, but still incredible and still what's making that team go. Shador at 7. He's been incredible through a couple questionable balls against Utah, but you can't argue with the numbers and the substance he's been able to put up this year. Riley Leonard at 8. I think it's a playoff team. I mean, I think they're going to win out at this point. And he's been amazing. I've been shocked at how healthy he's been this year. Knock on wood. Hopefully he stays healthy. But Riley Leonard at 8. Caleb Johnson, the least respected or least talked about running back in all of college football. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. He's also inevitable the same way Dylan Sampson is. Incredible numbers. Both those guys deserve more respect than what they're getting. And then Jalen Milroe at 10, leading Alabama. And, I mean, if you saw Dave Portnoy today put $100,000 on Alabama to win the national title. So he's a fan, and I'm a fan too. I mean, they've looked a little bit better recently. And obviously playing Mercer in November is not the best look in the world. But, you got to play who you play. So it was the annual cupcake for the SEC week. So, but yeah, they'll get back on track. They got a sneaky Oklahoma game this week, and then they'll play the Iron Bowl to round out the season. And as of right now, I think if they just win out, they'll be in the SEC championship. I think. There's like a billion different scenarios, but I think that's what's going to happen. As for games to watch this week, obviously, elephant in the room. Number 2, Ohio State hosting number 5, Indiana. The test that everybody has been waiting for because Michigan wasn't a great test. Washington wasn't a great test. Nebraska wasn't a great test. Not that they're horrible teams. It's just it didn't end up being the quality of an opponent as we thought. So now they get the real test. I'll talk a little bit more about the drama surrounding this scenario and stuff of Indiana here in a minute once I get to the stocks of the week. So I'll bring this back up, but massive game to watch at noon on Saturday. Ole Miss at Florida at noon as well. Florida can continue to wreck stuff and possibly knock Ole Miss out of the playoff if they drop another game. So big one down there in Gainesville. Penn State traveling to Minnesota at 3:30. I think it's just a super interesting game. It's a sneaky game, similar to what the Wisconsin game was, where it was like, all right, don't slip up. Let's see what you're made of, Penn State. So interested in that one. 3:30 also, you got BYU at Arizona State. I think Arizona State's going to win this. I just think the Big 12 is pure chaos. 3:30 has Colorado at Kansas as well. I don't know who's going to win this. I think I might pick Colorado in a close one. The score predictions will come out later this week, so y'all see those. Wisconsin at Nebraska. Nebraska got to get this one because I think they play Iowa next week. They've got to win one of these two to get bowl eligibility, and getting this home game versus Wisconsin feels very doable. So I might be picking Nebraska this week. Army and Notre Dame playing in Yankee Stadium. This is obviously the most intriguing game outside of, obviously, the top 5 matchup. Just so many implications on this. And, I mean, Army's sitting at 18 right now with an opportunity to maybe be in the next playoff if they're able to win this game. 7 o'clock kick. And, yeah, I mean, Notre Dame's been a wagon, and I think this might end up being similar to what the Navy game was like, where they just absolutely clobbered them. Alabama at Oklahoma, as I mentioned. And lastly, another SEC interesting one. 7:30, night game, Jordan-Hare, Texas A&M, traveling to the Plains and playing the Auburn Tigers. So now to some stocks of the week. My stock that I'm buying this week, buying stock in college football drama and just social media, Twitter beef, all this stuff, because this week has been the annual SEC versus Big Ten war that happens every single year over something, and it's happening now because of Indiana and the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, obviously, this has been the pure chaos between Joey Galloway saying Curtis Rourke shouldn't play, to people saying anything but like one score game and Indiana doesn't get to play. It's been chaos. Now, I'm here to share some of my thoughts on it because I guess that'd be what you'd be tuning in for here. Some of my thoughts on the current state of college sports, and this is kind of the current thing. SEC Big Ten beef. So, here's where I stand. I'm confused on why this is happening the week before the game happens. Obviously, Indiana's had the easiest strength of schedule in the world. It's 106th per ESPN's strength of schedule rankings, whatever. They're about to play the real game. I don't understand why it's happening now. A big part of it is Tennessee fans, because Tennessee fans are saying, "Oh, a 10-2 Tennessee should be in over an 11-1 Indiana." Tennessee fans, y'all better handle your own crap first. You still play Vandy. Vandy's wrecked some stuff this year. Indiana, let them play the game first. Now, the big chaos comes if this scenario happens where like Ohio State wins by like 14. If they are right around like the 10-14 range, where you're like, dang. I don't know. It depends how the game looks too. Like if Indiana like scores garbage time points and barely scrapes a win out, whatever. Like it's pure chaos. So that's kind of the thing. I want either Indiana to be right there, game-winning field goal by Ohio State, or Indiana win, whatever, or Ohio State just blow them out, get them out of the conversation in general. Obviously, 11-1, great season, phenomenal season. Don't listen to Joey Galloway, play Curtis Work, blah, blah, blah. I'm super excited for this game, but the team that I think is getting by without the talk the most, obviously Tennessee has the most recent loss, but if you're talking a Texas team that goes to Kyle Field in a couple weeks and loses that game and they're 10-2, they've got to be gone. Like there's no world where they should be in the consideration right now. And I think it's crazy that were they ranked higher? Yeah, they were 3 and Indiana's 5. I don't understand how you can put Texas over Indiana at this point. Indiana's undefeated. Obviously, they haven't played a great schedule. But their most impressive win is a win versus Michigan. Texas's most impressive win is a win versus Michigan. Obviously, they blew Michigan out, and Indiana played them within 5. But, like, Texas doesn't have a great strength of schedule either. I mean, they beat Michigan and Vandy. That's what they hang their hat on. And Arkansas. Indiana's not played a great schedule, but they're undefeated. I don't think you can really argue them right now. And obviously, if they lose the second game, they've got to be out. With that being said, though, yes, I believe the SEC is the best conference in the country, and you've got to get like 3-4 teams in there from the SEC, because if you truly want to have the best teams playing at the end of the year, you've got to have Georgia, you've got to have Alabama, you've got to have, I think, Tennessee. If they finish 10-2 with a win over Alabama, I think they deserve to be in. And then I think you can make your argument whether Ole Miss wins out and you want to put them in, or if you want to put it in a Texas A&M team. If they finish 10-2, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever. I just think that those teams have to be in. Obviously, Texas hasn't done enough that if they finish 10-2 that they should get in. But there should be a few SEC teams in there. I think they're the best conference, and it's proven year after year. I mean, obviously, the two teams that played in the title game last year were two Big Ten teams, but both those Big Ten teams also lost their coaches, lost their whole roster. The SEC is the best conference, and it's not close. I mean, people tried to pull up the game-for-game comparison of, like, Miami playing Florida. Congratulations on a Florida Week 1 victory, I guess. Congrats on a LSU Week 1 victory when Brian Kelly wins no Week 1 games. It was USC in a Vegas spot. That was weird. The Week 1 early victories are just weird to me. Like, they're a weird flex. Obviously, the SEC hasn't played the best of these other conferences, but, like, Tennessee hasn't looked great against certain teams in the SEC, and they beat NC State, who's not good, but they could have scored 90 points on them probably. And it's not even a great offense. That's what blows my mind about it. Now, obviously, like, they don't play each other a ton, and but the bowl matchups do matter. And when the bowl matchups happen, the true SEC teams and the true Big Ten teams, when they play, the SEC dominates. The SEC is the better conference, and the SEC has ran football since 2000. Now, the SEC is getting these teams in, and I heard the Lane Kiffin talk about the like not wanting to play in the conference championship game because you risk another loss and missing the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. Greg Sankey's already cleared that up. Like, another loss doesn't hurt you, and you're kind of in whether you play in that game and lose it or win it. But I just think that this is, like, crazy to me because if you don't know, I'm a Kentucky fan. I mean, you can probably tell just from all the different stuff in here. But it's wild to me that Tennessee fans, like, brought all this up. Well, it wasn't even just Tennessee fans. It was Josh Pate and J.D. Pickell and a bunch of different college football media guys that kind of brought this beef to what it is right now because they kind of were tooting the SEC's horn all week. But I just think we got to let this game play out, and then it gets interesting next week. And like I said, if it's between, like, 10 to 20 points, depending on how the game looks, we're going to be right back in the same spot, and nobody's going to know what to do. So, yeah, overall, I think the SEC is a better conference, but I think Indiana, if they play Ohio State close, they should be in no matter what, under any circumstance, because if you go 11-1 and you play that team close, then I think it makes it super interesting. But the one thing I think, if Indiana plays them close, or if they even beat Ohio State in Columbus, what does that say about Penn State? Because Penn State's best win right now is how close they played Ohio State in a loss. So if Penn State can't even beat them in Happy Valley and Indiana wins there, I'm curious to see what happens to them at that point. So super interesting week. That is obviously the pivotal game of the week, in the game that everybody's kind of looking forward to. And I do think Ohio State will not cruise, but I think they'll win comfortably. And you'll see my picks later on in the week. And I think that's really it, though. But college football drama, I'm buying stock in it because this is the week where if you tweet anything about college football, you can get hate for it or love. And it's just all the chaos. Yeah, that's what we live for, though. We're college football fans. And it's just like one of those weeks where there's a legit war between the conferences. And I get Indiana's played who is on their schedule, and I have a ton of respect for them because nobody knew Indiana was going to be this good, or they would have actually scheduled tougher teams and everything. But and they were also supposed to play Louisville, which I don't know. I don't understand what all happened there. But they were supposed to have a Louisville game on there, so obviously that did not happen. That would have been a nice game to have on their resume as well. But I will be selling stock in Big East basketball, so I did type this on here as the thing I'm selling stock in before Marquette got a huge victory over Purdue. So that makes this look a little bit worse. But Big East basketball so far, I think St. John's and UConn have looked absolutely elite. Creighton and Xavier looked fine, and Marquette's looked fine. But overall, the Big East has been a little bit disappointing to me between the Duck controversy and just the Big East overall outside of those top five I named have been super disappointing to me. And obviously, there's a whole lot of season to turn it around. And some have played tough non-conference games so far. So we'll kind of see how it all shapes out. But I'll be selling stock in Big East basketball right now just because I think they're a little bit lower than what I was hoping for coming into the season. So another thing I want to mention, just college basketball-wise, Alabama's been a little disappointing to me. It's hard to say when you come out and win 110-54 in your first game, but since then, Arkansas State victory, 88-79, McNeese State 72-64, and then a loss in their first big game with Purdue. That game was a little bit weird. I mean, Mackey Arena is an extremely hard place to play, and Purdue looked really solid. I was very, very impressed with Purdue. Obviously, I didn't even pick them to win the Big Ten for me this year. But as of right now, they definitely look like the most dominant team. As of late, the big question for me with Alabama right now, obviously they're not shooting great. I think they'll get that figured out. It's still early, though. They'll get to shooting a whole lot better. But the defense is absolutely horrendous. And Grant Nelson can't play defense at all. He reminds me of Andrew Carr for Kentucky, that the way they play defense, they're just way too slow, and it feels like they freak out when they're matched up with somebody that's got a offensive bag. And I mean, Trey Kaufman ran 8 Alabama alive in this game. He's not going to be able to do this all season, but he had he's averaging 17 points, maybe 6 or 7 boards, and 3 assists right now. He's absolutely balling. I think he had 26 in this game. Yeah, like I said, Purdue looked really good. It was a tough place to play. I mean, that home arena gives you some points anyways. And yeah, I was super impressed with Purdue, and I'm not writing Alabama off as they can't win the title at this point, but I definitely expected a whole lot more. I mean, you can't give up 79 points to Arkansas State in 64 when you're only scoring 72 against McNeese State. So a little disappointed, but they've got to get young blood back, and I've been waiting to see an Amori breakout game, but obviously, I mean, Alabama's dealing with injuries and different things, so I think they'll end up rounding into shape and stuff. And one thing, I mean, they're going to have to do it very quick because this is their upcoming schedule. So I'm filming this minutes before the Illinois game tips off. I might look like an idiot, but I think Alabama gets back on track here, and I think they kind of roll. I think the line was set at 8. They're playing it in Birmingham, so it's neutral site, but it's a home game for Alabama. And I think they kind of roll. This is a big get-right spot, and then they'll follow that up with number 7 Houston, then 24 Rutgers, then at 10 UNC. and then Creighton. So they have scheduled an absolute gauntlet. And yeah, I mean, we'll see who Alabama is in these next few games for sure. So super excited for their gauntlet that they have coming up, because we'll get to know what Nate Oates truly has with this roster. Another player I do want to highlight, as of right now, this guy has missed 5 shots this season. It's incredible. He's averaging 26 points a game, shooting 89.1% from the field. His name is Ryan Kalkbrenner. So obviously he started the season out with a 49-point game, and it was incredible. They've not played great teams yet, but what he's been able to do so far is nothing short of spectacular. They'll start playing some tough teams soon. So this week they'll be playing Nebraska, and then they'll be San Diego State, Texas A&M, Kansas, UNLV, Alabama. Then they'll get into Big East. So they've got their cupcakes out of the way, and they got the little rivalry game this week. So I'm super excited to see what he does against all of these really solid programs. But as of right now, missing 5 shots through 4 games, I think it is right now, is just completely incredible. So shout out to Ryan Kalkbrenner. Some games to watch this week for college basketball on Thursday. So this will come out Wednesday night. So probably when you're watching this or listening to this, it'll be Thursday, 7 o'clock, number 13 Baylor versus number 22 St. John's. And then Friday we'll have number 19 Wisconsin versus UCF. Wisconsin, obviously, big game. John Tonja, massive, I think it's 41 against Arizona. Massive win in Wisconsin. But that game was an absolute snooze fest. It was a Friday night. That one was later than the Purdue. I think, yeah, it went Purdue, Alabama, and then it fed into that game on Peacock. That game was a snooze fest because there was a billion free throws. I think there was like 80 combined between the two that the team shot. So that was crazy. But a big opportunity here at UCF, and UCF I think is still undefeated at this point. This is crazy because I think both these teams are top 10, and maybe at some point this year you can make an argument for top 5. Number 12 Duke at number 17 Arizona. That's a 10:30 tip Friday night. Super, super excited for that one. I mean, Caleb Love, he obviously ended the whole Coach K era. He's not looked great so far. I mean, he shot horrible against Wisconsin, but both kind of get right. And Duke in their last game, in the game after the Kentucky game against Wofford, they had held Wofford to the lowest point total of their shot clock era. So the defense is absolutely incredible. I mentioned that from just watching them against freaking Kentucky, that their defense is going to be absolutely insane. I don't know how we scored 77 on them. But, yeah, Duke, Arizona is going to be absolutely phenomenal on Friday at 10:30. Then you get Marquette and Georgia Saturday at 11 a.m. So that one's going to be exciting because both teams undefeated. And Georgia's looked really solid so far. Mike White's got the guys playing well. But the big news, so by the next time I'm filming an episode, or recording an episode, Maui will be starting Monday, November 25th. So we'll get UConn versus Memphis. These are all the starting games. Michigan State versus Colorado, Auburn versus Iowa State, and North Carolina versus Dayton. So looking forward to Maui. I mean, this is probably... I'm still super biased to last year's slate of Maui. I think last year Maui was like peak Maui. This one is going to be incredible, though. These 8 teams are going to be spectacular. And one last thing. So I mentioned at the beginning, I think there's a national player guy that is by far in first right now, and his name's Kam Jones. So he had the triple-double. First triple-double since Dwayne Wade did it in the Elite Eight in 2003. But he did it on Purdue. So that was absolutely incredible. That was Tuesday night. He's averaging 22.6 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, while shooting 64% from the field. It's incredible. Marquette is currently 5-0 and then ranked 15th in the country. It's awesome to see. I think he's just by far and away the favorite as of right now to win National Player of the Year, and he's got my vote for sure. And I might start putting out the way I have done with the Heisman rankings. I might start doing that with National Player of the Year rankings as well. I don't even know what the top's going to look like right now. I would guess probably Kam Jones, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and then I guess we'd see from there. I mean, there's probably a couple freshmen that deserve to be on there as of right now, but yeah, it's been a super exciting time because everything's hitting at the same time. We're almost a feast week though, and that's the absolute Super Bowl for a college fan like myself. So, because you get feast week hitting while all the football's on, and it's going to be incredible. And I just keep thinking and counting down the days until we get to those college football playoff, the Friday night and Saturday games where it's win or go home, and yeah, those are going to be electric. So. Let me know what your thoughts are on the new college football playoff bracket, and then some of your thoughts and hot takes of the early college basketball season, and what games you're excited for going forward. So, big news though, there will be blogs coming soon. So I'll be writing and putting stuff on the website. So not yet, it's coming soon, thejumpsports.com. Looking forward to that and getting more content out for you guys. Obviously, doing a whole podcast is tough with the editing and recording and all the different stuff that goes into filming and recording a podcast. But being able to write, I can kind of just get the laptop out and just jot down some things and stuff that's on my mind at any hour of the day. So that'll be coming soon. Continue to just follow the socials and stuff. It's all greatly appreciated. I love putting out the social media content. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all those. They'll be at the end of the video. Go follow those if you haven't. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of that. It's all greatly appreciated. I appreciate you all tuning in and listening and watching another episode of The Jump. You'll have a great rest of the week. Enjoy all of the phenomenal college athletics that we have this week, and peace.